Performance horse really needs some stall time. Don't need to stay in the stall 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they need stall time, the decompression time. They need a space where they can go and sleep, rest, and recover from the work. Stalls can be either real hard on a horse's joints and body, or they can be really good for the horse's joints and body. I'm particular about my stalls, but not really from a standpoint of how they're clean, which we'll talk about that a little bit, but the atmosphere that I want to give the horse. I can put him in a stall and it can be very stressful, or I can put him in a stall and it'll be a good place for him to decompress. Underneath my stalls, I have a mat. And this isn't just a mat that you buy at a store. This is a brand called Stall Saver. And the mats are actually water permeable. So when the horse urinates, it actually goes through the mat. There's a sandy base underneath. And what that does, that helps keep the urine from pooling on top of the mat, helps keep the shavings drier. And what we do is we have a cleaning solution that we pour on top of where the horse urinates, and that breaks down the urine that's under the mat, and that keeps the stalls smelling good, keeps the barn smelling good. On top of this mat, it has some cushion to it. It's not a lot, but it has a little bit of cushion, and there's a little bit of sand underneath. So there's some give to it. On top of that mat, we want to put the shavings to give the horse some bedding. But I don't bed the stalls real thick. If you think about it, how would your ankles felt if you stood on top of a mattress all day? Your ankles are going to flex back and forth, and you're going to end up with really sore ankles and sore feet. But also, you don't want to be standing on concrete all day either. You'll end up with sore feet standing on concrete. So what I need to do is I need to provide enough cushion that it's not like standing on concrete, but not so much cushion that it stresses the horse's joints and tendons when they're walking around. So by putting a somewhat thin layer of shavings on top of the mat, that gives enough cushion without being a problem with the horse's joints. I'm also really particular about the shavings that I use. I really don't like the shavings that they have at Tractor Supply. They have a fine and they have a coarse. I want the shavings coarse enough that they're not dusty, but not so coarse that they won't filter through the rake. And see, when I shake these, there's no dust. You don't want sawdust, you want shavings. So when you're cleaning the stall, the good dry shavings will fall through, and the poop and manure and stuff that you're wanting to clean out stays inside the fork. When I go to a show, I prefer a bigger flake shavings. And what that does, that'll give the horse extra cushion at the show. A lot of times we're either on a concrete floor or we're on a hard packed clay floor, which is real hard. So to try to give them the same amount of cushion at a show that we have here, I use a bigger flake shavings that'll give the horse a little bit more cushion. I don't like that shavings. I don't like those bigger flake shavings for cleaning the stalls, because the flakes are too big, they don't fall through the fork when you're cleaning the shavings. Tell me about what you have in your stalls. Do you have something similar to this? Do you have a dirt floor? Do you have rubber mats? Tell me what you have and what works for you. This is what I have found that works for me and the performance horses that we train. And I brought the walls up high enough that a horse can see that he's not alone, but most horses that I don't get really tall horses, they're not going to just hang their head over the other side because it's a little bit uncomfortable for them to get their head that high. You've probably seen some of the videos where I did, and I was at the wash rack, and the horse next to us putting its head over the top. That horse is actually about 15 hands, and you could see it could barely get its head over the top. So what I wanted to accomplish with the walls was to get them high enough that the horse wasn't going to hang his head over the top of the wall and irritate the horse next to him, but not so high that he couldn't look over them. Also, I have these LED lights in the top. We clean the lenses about twice a year. When they start to get dimmed down, they get bugs and stuff in them. And Each light is only 13 watts, but it really makes a nice bright stall. And also I have these windows that lets a lot of natural sunlight in. So that's how I've got my stalls designed. I was real intentional on how I designed them. I wanted them bright, I wanted them open. You've probably seen the fronts of my stalls where they can look out the front and see other horses. I can open doors so they can stick their head out the door and look around. So I was real particular about how I designed these stalls so that it would be a nice, safe, secure environment for the horses to rest and recover in. I did a video of when I was installing these mats. If you want to see how that went together, I'll put a link up here in the top, and also of how I built these walls. It was really pretty, it was very easy to do. Until next time, thank you for watching.